Hello, Pamela Slim here with another installment of my video tips to help your 2012 kick off in a strong and profitable way. What I want to talk to you about today is selling, and I want to underscore and put a big smiley face on the fact that I think selling is good. I know it's a loaded term for a lot of people. A lot of entrepreneurs have struggled with it, feeling like selling is an activity that's manipulative and pushy, and this can really get in the way of ease and grace and profit and money in your bank account. I, the other day, posted something on Facebook just underlining the fact that selling is a great part of the business cycle and it's really enjoyable, and had this very fascinating discussion with tons of different comments where some people reacted really strongly saying, I hate selling and it's manipulative and all that you should do is just, put yourself in front of people and they can make a decision. I totally agree. I personally call that selling. I put my offers out there, I have sales conversations with people and help them to make a decision that makes sense for them. If it doesn't make sense for them to work with me, I am so delighted to pass on the buck. I just did this the other day with somebody who was delightful and wonderful. It would have been a really cool project. And as I dug into it, I realized that a colleague of mine, Liz Dannery Sanders, as a matter of fact, would be the perfect fit. She already had a stronger skill set in what I was doing, and she would serve the client a lot better than I would. So selling is not about being pushy. It's not trying to get yourself over on somebody by any means necessary. It's really about offering the right kinds of things to your market and being clear to help them through a process so they can make a good decision about working with you or not. So that said, I want to help you think about some of the ways that you can think about your sales next year. And the first thing is that all sales are not equal. If you look at the activity that you have been doing this year, if you've been in business already, and you start to look at the profitability of each of your product or your service lines, you will very quickly see that not all things are equal. There often can be certain individuals on the client side that not only really partake in your programs and services, but also are really enjoyable to work with. And then sometimes you might find certain things that you've been putting tons of effort and energy into are really not rendering you any great results at all. So as you're doing your planning looking forward, you really want to be thinking about what are the kinds of activities that I want to be undertaking that are going to be giving me the very best returns. And if you remember in some of the earlier videos, one of the planning ones, I talked about the tool that Andrea Lee introduced, which is called the Hell Yes, Hell No, and Maybe, which gives you that quick gut instinct about what do you want to be offering to the market, what do you want to be doing, what do you not want to be doing, so that you cull down your huge list of ideas of what you can do and figure out the things that would be interesting to you to be offering. The second thing is how you can get very pragmatic about planning to ship something concrete in the first quarter, because one of the things that gets entrepreneurs tripped up is doing too many things at the same time and never bringing one thing to the finish line. So the way that it works when you get into selling and looking at your sales process and your clients is you want to begin to make some distinction about what kinds of clients are really your A clients. It sounds a little bit elitist, doesn't it? The way I think about the criteria for your A's, your B's, or your C's are in three ways, and I welcome you to create your own criteria. One of them is in profit. What are the kinds of activities or services that you're offering that give you the best kind of profit? When you look at the energy that you invested into selling and marketing, when you look at what it took you to actually develop it, sometimes there are hidden costs that you don't even realize about hiring other people to do graphic design or web hosting or different kind of products you need in order to follow up, virtual assistants, things like that. So you really want to look at what actually is the profitability of certain things that you're doing. And I crack up sometimes because within the service business, like coaching, which can be the same as consulting, there's so much information out there from people telling you, get totally out of the one-on-one service and you shouldn't be doing any of that and you should be getting as far away from one-on-one service as possible, which in some cases at a certain stage of growth can be very sound advice. In other stages of growth, you can look at profitability of something like a coaching or a consulting engagement, and it can be really profitable. It can be a great way to be bringing in money as you're developing your longer term plans to maybe have a signature program that's an online program. So look really carefully at the data about what money do you actually make versus the amount of time and energy that you're putting into it. The other thing I like to think about is pleasure. I think being in business is a great thing when you are doing what you want to do. One of my personal definitions of success is enjoying what I am doing while I am doing it, and not just because of the profit that it brings. There are so many ways that you could be building your business, and if you're not taking into consideration your own personal enjoyment, for some of you who are fleeing the cube or who have already left, you can find yourself back in that situation where you're just basically working for a paycheck. And in that case, why spend all the effort and energy to be doing your own thing? Why don't you just go back and have somebody else worry about all that stuff and collect your paycheck? I mean, I really seriously say that. Sometimes the glamorous life of being an entrepreneur is not that glamorous, and you really want to make sure that you have that level of enjoyment in what you're doing. So the other thing that's very, very important is purpose. How are you relating what you're doing with your very most important work that you're meant to do here on earth? Once again, personally, I think there's a lot more to business rather than just profit. I love profit. Profit is great. I need to pay mortgage. I need to put clothes on my kids' backs, and that's fantastic. At the same time, I want to be utilizing my life in such a way that it means something, that it makes a difference for the kind of people who I care about. And so as I'm thinking about the particular criteria for what kinds of activities I want to be spending my time on next year, that's where I can begin to see how I can sort out some of this criteria for your A's, B's, and C's. So this, you can look at it in two dimensions. One of the dimensions is who are the particular individual kinds of clients that you really, really want to work with. And you may find that your A client, let's say that you are a coach. Maybe your A client is somebody who's in a certain stage of business where they can really use a lot of your help, and you can get a much bigger annual contract in working with somebody like that, rather than somebody who might just come in for what I call a tune-up, who just wants to talk to you, get a little bit of information, and be off on their merry way. So maybe you might find there are certain kinds of clients that tend to naturally purchase the programs that you're selling or continue to want to coach with you. You might notice things about them for their psychographics. What's their personality characteristics that is really enjoyable for you to work with? And the more that you understand this, the better that you can make some criteria for who your A clients are. So you want to be spending time in the places where those key A players are hanging out so that you're really getting the best return on an investment. And I want to stress on the business side, you really, really, really want to be looking at profit as one dimension so that you are clear who are the people who you've even worked with this year, who you really want to be investing a lot of effort and energy into to help them grow in ways that they want to. And so you can go through that process and sort through, kind of what's your key A priority, your B, and your C. And that can be for individuals. You can also do the same kind of structure if you're looking at your offerings and you're looking at the particular programs and services that you're offering. I had a conversation about a month and a half ago with my friend Ramit Sethi, who some of you know at I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it was really interesting to have a conversation with him as we walked through all the different things that I was offering to the market. And he was saying, wow, look at how much your energy is dispersed all over a number of different areas. If you have a whole bunch of products that you're selling, which are the ones that you're really fired up about that you could really have the most, impact in the world with, and that could bring you the greatest profit. And it was really good to see that from that objective perspective, that all things are not equal, remember, and that sometimes you really want to be focusing on what are the particular programs that you really want to be emphasizing? What's a way that you can be wrapping a lot of what you want to be doing into that theme or that program, so that as you're writing blog posts or as you are sharing information on Facebook or Twitter, it's around one particular program of topics, so that you're not dispersed all over the place in that launch-orama fatigue market where every 6 weeks it feels like you have to create something new and launch it. So as you look at all of the things that you could be offering to the market, what are the areas that are really, really going to be giving you the greatest return? And then for things that fall out on the B or the C categories, maybe those are things you're not going to worry about. Maybe you can pick them up in slow times and see if you might want to be testing them out in the market a little bit. But I really encourage you to be thinking about what are the areas for you that are the most profitable. So I encourage you to embrace selling. You know that I have a program called Ethical Selling that works, because I don't think that ethical selling is an oxymoron. I think there is a way that you can have a clear understanding about the sales process. You can walk through it with people in a way that makes sense to them, that doesn't feel really pushy, but that also allows you to get business, because that's really, really important. So I hope that you've enjoyed these tips. I look forward to bringing you some more before the end of the year.